Hi, sorry, I'm just finishing up a prequel. It says I need a quarter cup of lore, and then a half a cup of ethnic stereotypes, and then two full cups of CGI. And voila, we have the Phantom Menace. But let's start the show. You don't care about that. That'll be done later. Joining me tonight first is Regret. What does he regret?
You
And why is he
stupid.
that?
I'm laughing at you, man.
So what do
That
you
was a
regret?
great opener. That was a great opener right there. That's what I have.
I'm just going by what I see in the movie.
Stereotypes. You're hilarious, man. You're a hilarious dude. But yes, my name is Regrets. Clearly, because man, now I understand the whole hype with the Sith Lords and the double freaking lightsaber. Yo,
Hold on.
Yo, anyway, let's
Let me
bring in
introduce the final piece of this triangle here. We have the executive consultant coming in. Sir, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing quite excellent, man. It's a beautiful night down here in Florida. I'm looking excellent as always. You two are looking, like two stereotypes with CGI. But let's go and discuss some Phantom menacing.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we should let Vic go because he's bursting with joy. He's loving it, and yet he's hitting himself because he waited too long to watch the Vic.
Mind you, here's the thing. All right, this came out in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was fresh, just like ending my teens. This was something that was everywhere. I didn't understand it. I didn't really pay attention to it. I didn't get it. And that's because I was being like, oh, whatever, it's Star Wars. But what I didn't realize is that, oh, this is such good shit. Oh my God. I missed out on so much because, like, all right. Now, one thing that I will say is that I'm happy that I saw it in this order. Why? Because now I'm in a position where I want to know what the hell's going on with Anakin Skywalker. I am definitely way more I'm way more bought in because I saw it this way, as opposed to if I would have seen it another way. Like if I was introduced to Anakin Skywalker as the little boy, I probably wouldn't be as interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because above all else, one thing that I'm looking to see, like for example, as soon as they said Obi-Wan, I was like, oh, that's young Obi-Wan. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? So then, like, that's where I started feeling regrets, because I was just like, oh man, if I would have seen this in the early 2000s, I wouldn't have missed out on so much. So, like, for example, in The Office, when Dwight shows up as a Sith Lord, I would have understood what the hell he's doing. You know what I mean?
Been able to participate in that.
Yes, man. There's so many things that I would have been able to participate in. And it's the same way that I felt after the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones, where it was everywhere. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then once I watched it, I finally understood the reference behind the Red Wedding. So, like, I feel this way. And mind you, it is like 20 years later, that I'm watching 20. Wait, didn't this come out 21? Didn't this come out in 99?
It's 99.
Yeah, so it's like 21, 22.
Yeah, but still, it's 2 decades later, and now is that I'm seeing this, and I'm all hype about it. So I'm just like, oh, boo. You know what I mean? I wish I would have seen this sooner. I'm so happy, and I can't wait to see what comes up next. Because by the time you finish, it's just like, all right, this is a TV show now. This is an episode. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I really, really enjoyed it. Honestly, that might just be my final thoughts right there, because I'm so hyped. Like, I literally saw this movie and then just started cutting back to parts because the quotes, man, the quotes.
Okay.
Yo!
Hold on, let's pause right there. Chris, you want to jump in here and tell us?
No, if he wants to talk about the quotes, it's his time. Go ahead.
No, because the thing is, I didn't have the time to put it in yet and all of that, and I didn't have the time to do all of that. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that I loved, right? This shit was Hollywood Boulevard. Mm-hmm. Sammy was in there. The dude from Taken was in there. That little boy, I don't even know who he is now, but it's been 20 years, so he's got to be somebody. But still, like, it was straight star-tastic up in there. Like, it was amazing. I did not expect to see Nick Fury up in there, but when I did, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's get him a double saber and all of that. And the double saber, yo! But wait, what was the quote? What was the quote? What was the quote?
I don't know because this movie didn't have any close to me.
Yes, man, it was the old man. He said it to the little boy, man. He said it to Anakin.
The
And he
old
said
man?
something. Yes,
What
you
old
know,
man?
the guy from Taken, bro. The guy, you know,
Liam Neeson.
Qui-Gon
Liam
Yeah,
Neeson.
Liam
Yeah.
Neeson, but yeah, Qui-Gon, and at the time he really wasn't an old man. I mean, depending on your standards, if you were born in 2000, maybe he was an old man to you, but you know. But I see what you're saying.
You see
This
what he has
movie,
to
this
do?
movie. I'm just saying because
You know what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. The thing is with me. So I see the prequels. I'm good, Charmaine. How are you? But I see the prequels, and I'm looking at I'm not the prequels. I see the first ones, and I'm looking at them, and I'm hearing so many great quotes, mostly from Darth Vader. The Emperor had a lot of good ones too, even though he wasn't in there as long. But then I go to Phantom Menace and me Jar Jar Binks, and I don't get the same quotes as I did from the original three. But
I
to each
mean,
their own. So I mean,
they're not from Jar Jar Banks, man.
thank God
Like,
for that.
no, it was from. Wait, what was his name again? The guy with the long hair that was Max.
Qui-Gon recasted.
Yes. Hold up. It was cool. It was cool, man. It was a great quote, and he was kneeling, and he said something great, but I forgot what it was because I was so hype about so many other things in this movie.
We'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll find it. Don't worry. I'll bring it back, and then I'll say it. But I'll find it. I'm sure I'm going to find it before the end of the show. All right,
Chris, Charmaine wants to know where she can find that poster, that unpopular review poster behind you.
This was custom made for Chris. So if you want to get them custom made too, you know, I'll send you the logo. You just go someplace and say what you want it custom made for. We do have merch coming soon. I know we've been saying that for 4 years, and I'll get on the technician about that soon. But great segue there.
But I thank you for your support, Charmaine, and look forward to that merch. Hopefully, we have different styles, and if you have different suggestions and everything, Vic. If you have different suggestions and everything, please let us know by all means. Vic, what were you about to say?
Oh, I found it. I found it, and I love this quote. Let me just put it in for you so you guys can see it. Let me just put it in for everybody so everybody.
I do have a quote from this movie. It's pretty obvious who I'm going to quote from.
I love this quote because it is so true. So true to life, so true to everything. I love this quote. He said this to Anakin as he was leaving him. Your focus determines your reality. Your life is what you focus on and how you focus. I love that. I love that quote. That just made me pop real hard.
If we're gonna do quotes, let me jump in here, Chris, before you give your thoughts on this movie.
Sure.
So we've been teasing, obviously, with the promo that we've been putting up the last couple of episodes for Phantom Menace, and as I've said before, Yoda is my favorite character. Why? Because so much of what he says wraps up the whole. Lore is not the right word, but the belief system of the Jedi, right? And this is not the Jedi in their heyday, I should say. This is the Jedi in their later stages, right? In the New Republic, okay? That's a deep cut if you know Star Wars history and everything like that, but it's the one of the last ages of the Jedi, right? And so when Anakin goes before the council and Qui-Gon wants him to be tested, there's a scene and he stands before Mace Windu, and Mace Windu has a panel and different images come up, and they want Anakin to use the Force to call out what's on the screen, and without much effort he nails them one after one, which is in keeping with, and I'll come back to why I'm saying this later when we get down the line of further films, but which is in keeping to what Qui-Gon said, that his metachlorian count is off the charts higher than Master Yoda's. He would have innate senses, hence why he was able to pod race without having formal Jedi training, right? The fast reflexes and whatnot. And Yoda asks him something. And even Ki-Adi-Mundi is another one of the Jedi Masters on the council. He says, "Be mindful of your thoughts. You know, we can read your mind, right? We know what you're thinking, right?" And Master Yoda goes, "How do you feel?" And he says, "I feel cold," right? And he says, "You know, They have a back and forth, and he says, "I sense much fear in you," and this is what we've been teasing in the thing. And he says, because he says, "I feel cold because I miss my mom," right? And he has so much emotion about that. And I'll get to one of my favorite parts of this movie later, why that's important. But he says, I sense much fear in you. And Anakin doesn't understand, why is that a big deal? And Yoda says everything. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to suffering. And yeah, it's a movie quote, but when you break that down, that's such a true statement in life. And so many motivations of people are based on that fear, and they may react in anger or in hate or whatever like that, right? Which can branch off into destruction and death and all of that, but it's out of fear. Fear because I don't have enough. Fear because you'll have it and I won't have it. Fear of the unknown, as they always say, whatever the great unknown is. Uh, so I always love that. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to suffering. It's such a true Jedi quote. And again, I'll get back to that when I talk about one of my favorite scenes in this movie. Unless Chris wants to go, I'll say it now.
No, go
Uh,
ahead, go ahead. Like I say, everybody gets their individual time now, so just go ahead and
so
go right to it.
So there's a scene in the end, the climax of the movie when they're fighting Darth Maul, which, by the way, that's one of the best things I like about this movie in the prequels, that you get to see Jedi what they look like in true form, trained Jedi, that they can move very, very fast, they have skills, and their fighting style is not like a broadsword, which we saw in the original episode 4, 5, and 6. But this one, you see that they're fighting. It's like they're fighting with katana, they're fighting with kendo. It's just a great scene. Them on Tatooine with Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, and then the three of them, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul, when they're fighting on Naboo. And so there's a moment when you see uh, Obi-Wan, he's fighting with emotion. He's charged up, but Qui-Gon is very zen throughout that whole fight with Darth Maul, right? And because of that, Darth Maul is able to mess him up. Obi-Wan makes a bunch of mistakes. He knocks him off that precipice, and he falls all the way down. We get to see a great force jump. That was a great thing because we had never seen that before. They didn't have the technology to show that, right? And by the time he gets back up there, they're already between the force barriers. And when they get to the last force barrier, you see that the Sith, who are trained by their emotion, right? Their anger, their rage, their fears, their hurts, right? So he's just amped up, like he's ready to go. I want to beat you as soon as this force field comes down. Qui-Gon gets down on his knees and he starts to meditate. That is such a Jedi thing to do, right? And we'll get into more of that later. I don't want to ruin something, but that's so in tune with the Force, the light side of the Force, what somebody would do, right? It didn't matter whether or not he walked out of there alive or not, but he meditated and he wanted to know the will of the Force, right? It's such a beautiful scene. And if you look at Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan is angry. He's a mirror to Darth Maul, right? Anyway, the thing opens up. Qui-Gon goes into action, and Darth Maul gets a stab in with his double-sided lightsaber, right? Obi-Wan is furious, and he rushes in there, and he almost gets killed, and he's thrown in that thing, and he's holding on, and whatchamacall is taunting him, right? And he realizes, I messed up because, again, I went in there with emotion and everything, and I wasn't trained that way. And when he calms his mind, he remembers that Qui-Gon's lightsaber is still there. He knows what he has to do, and then he does it 1, 2, 3, and he force jumps up and slices Darth Maul in half. And it's a great juxtaposition between the two different types of training. That because he focuses his mind, and that goes back again to that quote that I said with Master Yoda. He says, "Your mind is all over the place," and we saw the same thing that he said to Luke. He says, "Your whole life you've looked away to the future, the stars, always seeking adventure. A Jedi craves not these things." Adventure, excitement. He goes, a Jedi craves not these things. And that's what he says, a most serious mind a Jedi must have, right? And that's what you see in action in the last fight scene. And it's just a beautiful depiction of what we've always been hearing about, what Master Yoda says, even in this movie. And then to see it play out, that was just great. Another thing I liked, I'm just going to give it to the climactic fight song, is called Duel of the Fates. Always loved that song. It pumps you up. It's an action filled theme. I like it. I like it. I don't know if I like that one more than one we'll get to later, but when you combine the two, it's just epic. Again, more on that later down the line. And another thing that I like that they couldn't do, obviously, because they didn't have CGI back when the originals were made. I love that the worlds seem like entire worlds. When you go to Coruscant, I believe that the entire planet is covered in these massive skyscrapers. When they're in Naboo doesn't look like Coruscant at all. Tatooine we've already seen, but Tatooine doesn't look like Naboo, right? These all look like individual planets in this galaxy, and I love the fact it's so varied, it's so diverse. You see so many different people groups, and I love that because if it's in a galaxy, we think our solar system, right? And we're just humans. But can you imagine an entire galaxy full of people? It's just phenomenal. I really, really like it.
All right, that's pretty detailed, I'll say, James, why you like it and why you didn't like it. I, on the other hand, am not as forgiving of this movie. And
I'm not saying that it doesn't have bad things. I just want
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. But I'm going to give it a piece of A. I'm going to give it a piece of B. Let's talk about piece of A through J. Why I go to J? Jar Jar Binks. I mentioned him earlier. I'm going to mention him now. Jar Jar Binks was such a terrible force in this movie. Yeah. Let me go ahead and put some quotes that I like. Most people won't even recall this quote, but I recall this quote because this is what I was thinking. There was a sound that was made, right? And then Obi-Wan immediately says, that is the sound of 1,000 terrible things headed this way. This was around the beginning of the movie. Little did I know that Jar Jar Binks was the 1,000 things that was headed the way of this movie that made this movie pretty darn bad. That is one. Here's another quote. And you, young Skywalker, we shall watch your career with great interest. Yeah. This was Senator Palpatine to Anakin Skywalker at the end. And the reason how come that quote was really important is because you'll see through the rest of the series, right? And I also have to give a quick shout out to what James was talking about. Everything. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. That's just much fear in you. Once again, foreshadowing. Yoda does it throughout this entire movie when it comes to this brat. Mm-hmm. That's foreshadowing right there, because I'm about to talk about something else I hate in this movie. But he does a lot of foreshadowing, like, hey, this guy's no good. He's too old. He's a fearful person. I don't think this is a good idea. Yeah. He gave you every clue, like, hey.
And he even says to Obi-Wan too. He says the council thinks that you should train him, but I'm warning you, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I think, he could be the chosen one, but that doesn't mean that's a good chosen one. So let's go ahead and dial that back. But Qui-Gon, who I have to say his charisma was actually the most the positive thing about this movie, outside of course Yoda, who's always going to be good. Mm-hmm. But Qui-Gon was not that bright when it comes to making that decision. So I have to give him a little bit of thumbs down on that. That's not talking about the movie. That's talking about Qui-Gon for that. But he makes up for it for the positive thing I'm about to say, because I've said this a lot of times when I talk about Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame, in my opinion, was not that great of a movie. It was an enjoyable movie. It was an entertaining movie. But if you take out the fact that the last hour was some of the greatest action sequences I've ever seen, and to this day I can watch it, and to this day I can watch it and still get goosebumps, which is not something I can get from most movies. It makes the movie a lot better. But if you watch the first 2 hours, it was a little slow, it was a little unentertaining, it wasn't all that good. This is the same way I feel about this movie. Star Wars Phantom Menace was about 2 hours and 20 minutes. First hour and 30 minutes really wasn't all that good. Was it like the worst thing I've ever seen? No. It wasn't a tactical force. It wasn't that. But at the same time, I watched a pod race
New Mutants.
Put me to thank you. New Mutants. Oh my God. I forgot where I was for a second because I blocked that movie completely out of my memory. I saw it on HBO Max today and I quickly fast forwarded faster than the speed of light. But look, I saw a pod racing that pissed me off. I hated everything about that sequence. Ever since they got up with the boy, I was so pissed off. The mom, who was the worst mom in the world, like, oh, I didn't have sex. What woman hasn't said that? Oh, I haven't had sex. I just got impregnated out of anywhere, and I just had the child and call him Jesus. And then she just said, oh, you want to take my boy? Even though I just met you 24 hours ago, you ain't gonna touch me? Yeah, go ahead, take my boy. I don't want him. All right, that's just less food I have to spread amongst myself. So that's what she did. Terrible mom. Anyway. But if I actually was the parent of that child, I might want to give him up too. But look, so that boy was almost as annoying as Jar Jar Binks. So if I was actually playing a game, it was like, hey, if I was to go down an alley and one way is Jar Jar Binks and the other alley is Anakin Skywalker, from who's 7 years old. Which one would I go and talk to? I bang my head against the wall in the alley. That is a problem that I have.
But Chris, as you know, Anakin Skywalker, he gets worse in Attack of the Clones. Which one are you picking, young Anakin
he gets worse, but he's more interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my thoughts when it comes to this movie. When we come back, the three of us are going to talk about our final thoughts. Stay with us as we see what we're reviewing next week as well. I mean, for Tuesday. No, I'm sorry. Later this week on Thursday, because today's Tuesday. So later this week on Thursday, and then the next Star Wars movie on Tuesday. Stay with us. Unpopular review.
There are angels. Some of these angels were cast down, and a few of the fallen were punished by being deprived of form.
Come on, get out of here.
And each touch.
And at the execution, did he try and touch you?
Yeah, he did, actually.
Passes the soul of a killer into someone new.
Well, I believe what I see, and I'm still trying to get my mind around what I just saw.
Some things, pal, you shouldn't know.
The boy is dangerous.
And this Clone War has.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
You don't need guidance, Anakin. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi.
The boy has exceptional skills.
His abilities have made him arrogant.
The dark side clouds everything. In grave danger you are.
Welcome back to another edition of Unpopular Review. We are reviewing Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Join us join us this Thursday where we discuss Fallen, which is a James Best special. This is his pick, and I'm sure he's eager to talk about it. I'm eager to watch. I'll probably watch it tomorrow morning. And then next Tuesday, we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Vic is watching it now.
Star Wars Attack of the Clone, which is going to be the second one of this particular franchise segment. But right now, we're talking about Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and we're getting into our final thoughts. Regrets, you want to take it away?
Okay, well, clearly, hence the name. I have a lot of regrets because there's a lot of things that I missed. Now, okay, I'm not frozen. All right, there's a lot of things that I missed in the past 20 years because I missed out on this movie. Now, right now, I probably have to watch it again and again to figure out certain things because as I was watching this movie, more than anything, I was just looking for clues, trying to figure out who's who, what's going on. I was very excited to see the beginnings of C-3PO. I was very excited to see everything that R2-D2 was doing, being a nerd myself. But I was just more than anything just very interested in seeing what the progression of Anakin Skywalker is after seeing the other three movies, 4, 5, and 6. So at this moment, I'm kind of like marking out because I'm on this is really good stuff. And yes, I do have regrets because I should have seen this before. Now, with that being said, there's probably a little bit of bias there. My perspective is probably a little skewed to the fact that I've just seen this. However, it's all positive. I definitely do have some thoughts, and you'll hear that on my recasted because some of that you've kind of already heard already. But there were certain things that didn't make sense, but it was still hilarious, and everything was good. Honestly, when it comes to the racing scene, I really liked it because I was just like, man, they really do this whole thing around the Skywalkers having the ability to fly planes. It's all this whole thing about how they can fly these little pods and planes really good from the beginning, you know what I mean? And like I'm very, very interested in seeing how far the Skywalker family goes within the next 5 more movies. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, 5 more movies. So clearly it's a thumbs up.
Part of the joy of watching these movies over again is watching with somebody who hasn't seen it, and then I'm enjoying the fact that Vic is enjoying them. I started the show, a quarter cup of lore, half a cup of ethnic stereotypes because, listen, the movie was made in 1999, but it might as well have been 1929 because some of the things that they had going on there were just, I don't know what George was thinking, right? And I say George because it's his movie, you know what I mean? He creates the characters, he wrote the script, he directed it, I believe, as well. So the buck stops with him, right? Um, the fact that I like to see the Jedi in the heyday before blank, you know, um, where's T-Bar?
It's just a wrestling thing.
The wrestling thing, yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah,
When you came in as Mace, I had a feeling that was going to come somewhere.
Yep, I saw that coming at some point too. I didn't think it took a while, but yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Phantom Menace review. So I like seeing the Jedi in the heyday on Coruscant. I like seeing the different ships, as Vic says, geeking out about the different droids and everything like that. I like seeing the different cultures. I like seeing more about the Jedi and the Sith. I thought Darth Maul, he brought it. It was fantastic. You get to see him in other ancillary materials and everything like that. It was just really, really good. Again, I like the music in this. That for that final fight scene, I like the fact that you see the philosophy. I like the fact that you see the philosophy played out in front of you between the two, between the light and the dark side of the Force. And I thought that Liam did a great job portraying Qui-Gon Jinn, especially when you learn more about his character in later films. Of course, I'm going to give this movie a thumbs up. Is it the best out of the prequels? To me, no, but it still gets a thumbs up.
All right, very astute. That was pretty good by James. There are a few things about from IMDb.com. I don't understand. 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb.com. Cost $115 million to make. It made $474 million in the United States, $1 billion worldwide. Please understand we're talking about 1999. The finances are different when it comes to the moolah there. So that is very, very huge. And it was one of the highest grossing movies of all time for a long time. Actually, technically still is. But at that time, it was like easily top 5. I think it was like number 2, only second into Titanic at the time. And maybe Star Wars after that. I don't remember. But it held on for a while. So much respect to this movie for that. Much respect for this movie for having one of the greatest lightsabers fights, if not the greatest lightsaber fight up until that time between Darth Maul. And just like Regret said, when he came in and told just did like this and both of the things came out, I mean, who would have popped? Who would have acted like, oh my gosh? And he was handling both of them. And those two did not look like they were not skilled at fighting with the lightsaber. But he was taking care of business, killed Qui-Gon, looked right at Obi-Wan and said, looked at and gave him the Goldberg, you're next. You know, so it was very, very entertaining. But it was 35 minutes.
Yep.
Before that was 2 hours of me watching pod racing and a little guy, Jar Jar Binks, parade around doing absolutely nothing. During the fight scene, I still had to go through cutscenes between Jar Jar Binks getting lucky, exploding tanks because he had exploding balls for some reason, I don't know. And then somehow Anakin gets in a spider and goes up and fights. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Chris, what did he have? What did Jar Jar have?
He had exploding scrotums. So look, here's the thing. It was terrible. Then I'm looking at Queen Amidala, you know, who decides that she wants to be a transvestite or not. I can't see if she's making up her mind. She got a decoy. Who's also, I mean, they're playing games. I don't know what's going on. So I am of the notion of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I don't think the original trilogy was broke and it needed this prequel. But it was made. If you're going to make it, do it right.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't do it right for me. I'm giving it a thumbs down.
That's fair.
All right. Before we leave, Mace, you got a few things to say?
Yes. So if you are looking in the comments right now, if you're watching this in the playback, you'll notice that Charmaine has been giving us some suggestions on different movies. Before, we've had other suggestions. Somebody else who I'm sure is going to give a suggestion now under the name of Unpopular Review has different suggestions for movies. So Thursday, we'll be making an announcement, but I will tease this. Starting next month, you can have more of a say in what we review on one of these shows, right? And we're going to leave it up to you all, of course. It's a democracy, so whoever gets the most votes based on the movies that we get leading up to that week, that's the movie that we're going to review. So you all get to pick. We enjoy you all being here and being part of the show. We want to give you a little more control. So there it is, but more on that Thursday. So think of movies that we haven't covered that you might want to see. If you hate us, maybe you'll torture us with another movie like Chrissy has. I don't know, but that's up to you. You got to vote for it.
Who says if you hate us? Hilarious.
All
thank
right,
you for watching.
Somebody take
We'll
us
cut this
home.
out, and we'll cut this out in the edit. But thank you for watching Unpopular Review UPRE on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Help us grow this channel. We see Charmaine is on Twitch. Why aren't you there with her? What's going on? This Thursday, my pick. I waited all month for this. Fallen. I love that movie. It's great. Tease. I told you to pay attention. Are you watching? Next week, Attack of the Clones, and then we're gonna find out the next next Thursday's pick, because whose week is that next week?
It's actually gonna be Vic. So I mean, if you want to spoil a bunch right now, it's the Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor. There you go. One of Dave Chappelle's first performances on screen.
Actually, yes.
So we
yes.
get to see that.
Yes.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, while you are subscribed to UPRE on YouTube, remember UPRE on YouTube, you can actually check out Falcon and Winter Soldier. They just uploaded the last 2 episodes. Then they talked about it, which is the Mark Victor Rodriguez, Caden Dirt Sheets, as well as Bad Guy Jack. And this coming Saturday, they're beginning a new series where they're actually giving small reviews of movies that Loki was in as they begin a countdown to Loki's own series. So make sure you tune into UPRE for that. As well,
they're like the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the MCU.
As well as the recasted. So if you missed the recasted portion of these episodes, we actually do them separately now, and they're also on our YouTube channel exclusively, UPRE, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on Twitch, you're watching on Twitter, go to YouTube right now, UPRE, and check out those episodes, especially the last one. It was comedy, Mortal Kombat.
It was hilarious. And let me just say this. I went to YouTube to look it up for a friend. Chris, if you're watching, thank you for watching. But if sometimes other things come up for UPRE, so just put UPRE review, and you'll see us pop right up there. UPRE review on YouTube, and we'll pop right up there. As Chris says, I had so much fun, and I'm sure they all did as well with the last recasted. It was just pure comedy, nothing but laughs. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, best show, best host. That's funny, Charmaine, because you also said that last night with the Raw crew. Not the Bollywood stuff that comes up when you search UPRE. That's true, because when I first searched it, I got that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna contradict my friend here and actually say put UP until we're more known, because if you type in a popular review, ladies and gentlemen, we actually do come up. But if you type in UPRE, it's gonna be a lot of Bollywood stuff. So type in UPRE and then review. You can type in review. I actually did recast it, and we came up. So whichever one you want to do, go ahead and do it. This is a long segue out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching us. We will see you this Thursday, 9:30 p.m. for Fallen. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.